Hello there, Aries, and welcome to your February 2025 horoscope. If you're enjoying these monthly horoscopes that I'm doing, please be sure to subscribe and tick the notification bell while you're there so that you can get notified every time there's a new video released. Also, we can take a deeper dive into your own personal astrology. If you want to schedule in one of my astrological services, you'll find those linked above. So there's a time in life to fly in formation, and then there's a time in life to fly free. And quite often, when we decide that we're going to break free from the pack and go in the direction that ultimately feels most correct from us, well, or most correct for us, I should say, well, quite often there are a lot of fingers pointed in our direction. And usually the accusations are either that person's crazy or what's wrong with them, or sometimes aren't they being a little selfish? But it's not selfish for you to question whether or not you're still benefiting from a particular connection or even several different connections that are in your life. If you're in a position where you're giving so much to situations and finding that you're getting very little in return, sure, whilst it's great to be selfless and to give selflessly, when your selfless giving means that you're so exhausted that all that's going to be left for the people that are in your life is like this eensy weensy teensy little bit of energy, well, then it's not being selfish to go, hey, I need to break free of all of these connections that are like lead weights that are dragging me down, and instead go, I need to A, either have more connections in my life that are supportive of me really soaring to new heights, or B, I just need to cut cords with all those connections that are weighing me down. So sometimes we have to be stronger in forging our own independent path. And this also holds true for you, Aries, this month in the realm of people who you give an ear to in your life, those people who have input into the personal decisions that you make. You're beginning to recognize that a lot of those decisions aren't going in the way that you wanted them to. Well, it's because they're not really coming from you. They're coming from somebody else, and you're giving somebody else too much control over the decisions that ultimately you are making. You are responsible in terms of your own decisions in crafting your own independent path. Those other people are not responsible for it. At the end of the day, it's going to be you that's walking that road. At the end of your life, you're going to be left with you and your soul. So you might as well form a deeper bond with your own decisions, with your own beliefs, and with your own path, and choose to stand stronger in that particular direction. That doesn't mean you can't have friends. That doesn't mean you can't have support. But the decisions that you make at this particular turning point in your life need to be more self-based. And on one level, you might be going, yeah, but that's not really safe. It doesn't feel secure. It doesn't feel stable. There's no stability and no security if you're walking a road where you can't trust yourself. And quite often, the first steps in forming deeper self trust are trusting in your own decisions. Even if you quote unquote mess up, you didn't mess up. You stood by yourself. You made the decision that you felt was right. So when that happens and you quote unquote mess up, you'll just be able to pick yourself back up again and go, okay, well, let's see if I need to make another choice. But you're beginning to find that a lot of people who you thought were there as a support are no longer there for a support. Some of you may even find yourself in a position where, I hate to say it, sadly enough, other people are talking and you're beginning to recognize people for the truth of what they are. And yes, that can be very eye-opening and not the most pleasant of experiences. but it can also be very helpful because it can help you to wean away the connections that are no longer supporting the independent direction that you're growing in, which, yes, those people may be criticizing, but ultimately you know why you are doing this, and it will give you greater trust in establishing that new path forward. A lot of things are in development for you this month. Later on in the month, Mars, your ruler, begins to shift forward into direct motion. When that is happening, it's going to take a couple of months for things to gain some ground, but your life is beginning to turn around in a completely radically different direction. And it's important that you have self esteem and it's important that you have self trust for this new chapter in your life. Stand strong, trust in your own decisions, and don't be afraid to walk the path of solitude if you need to. Ultimately, you'll find it is much more rewarding than dragging a bunch of dead weight around. I know that sounds harsh, but this is actually a very powerful period of awakening for you, Aries, and one that's placing you in a position where you're stronger and where you're able to attract to yourself the people that you need for the next stage of your development. That's going to do it for this look at your February 2025 horoscope. If you'd like to know much more about the year ahead, please do feel free to schedule in one of my astrological services. You'll be able to find those through my services page, which is linked right here. Thanks a lot for watching, and please do take the very best care of yourself. Bye now.